All right, so here we are, Q3, week 5, day 1. Today we are talking about transformation habit 15, fat, big picture.
Fat, big picture. So fat has had a comeback, would you say?
In a big way.
It's kind of had a comeback. I was trying to think of like some hip, cool Hollywood star that had a fall for Britney Spears. That is sort of like the Britney Spears of macronutrients, right?
So your child, or not quite childhood, but your young adult years were Britney Spears 07.
Yes.
When she shaved her head.
Exactly. So it's like, Britney Spears was bigger than life. Everybody loved Britney Spears. Then she's beating up cars with a baseball bat. She's in a lockdown situation, and now she's back hosting a Vegas show. So it's like that's sort of fat's thing. So I went through all of that with fat. Fat was completely demonized. Low fat, zero fat, fat free, to the point that they were replacing it with these products that, just were not good for your GI tract. We'll leave that there. People were so afraid of fat, and now fat is everybody's favorite macronutrient. So why do you think fat's everybody's favorite macronutrient these days?
Well, I mean, one, it tastes delicious, and two, all of these lifestyle diets are putting fat kind of as, the main show. So we've got the keto, we've got, really primarily keto, but even some paleo advocates go, heavy fat, and they're all pushing, eat all fats all day long with, moderate amount of proteins and no carbohydrates. And so now everybody is bowing down to avocados.
Yeah, I think it's an easy sale for the marketing campaign. I always try to think about what's someone's ultimate motive. If they're telling me to do something, ultimately, no one tells you to do anything unless there's some gain on their backside. Everything has to be a one-to-one relationship. So with me, with the diet culture, and, we all know I don't have very good positive feelings about the diet culture, but with fat, it's a win-win for the diet culture. They make us fearful of carbohydrates. They replace it with the benefits of fat. They know that fat's wonderful in the short term because we're so satisfied when we eat it. It's convenient, mostly grab and go. Cheese sticks, nuts, nut butters, energy balls, non-cooking, grab and go things. We eat it, we feel happy because that's what fat makes us feel when we eat it. And then as we start to take the foot off the, brake a little bit, we start to overconsume fat, and they know that fat is very calorically dense. So inevitably what will start happening?
Gain weight.
You gain weight.
And you're stuck in their trap.
Yeah, and you're stuck in their trap. So that's why I feel that, and for them, profitability wise, it's smart to promote fat. From a food product standpoint, it's smart to promote fat. In a culture that doesn't like to cook, it's smart to promote fat. And then for inevitable weight gain, when we were just joking before about, we just see people eating Ziploc bags full of nuts and squeezing tubes of nut butter into their mouth and eating a handful of these energy balls that are coming everywhere. And they don't realize each one of those energy balls is 140 calories and each 12 peanuts is 240 calories. They just don't think that way. So the weight comes back on. The diet culture has you.
Yeah.
That's where they want you.
It's like we said, I think day 1 of Q1, the diet culture does not want you to lose weight.
No.
They do not want you to be healthy.
Yeah. Well, they want you to lose it and put it back on.
For a little while, and then put it back on.
Yeah, because they need to let you think that it's you.
Right.
So look, you lost all this weight doing what we said. And now the weight's coming back on, but that's
your fault.
That's your fault. That's your fault. So the thing that I think is really dangerous is not so much, I understand from the marketing and the strategy point of view of that, but when they demonized carbs and they elevated fat, they really just ignored our need for fiber to counteract the fat intake. And they threw us woefully out of balance. And we see the back end of that, and you see them responding to it, because keto responded to, Atkins was pork rinds and bacon, and then keto came into play, and they said, no, we need some of this, but then they realized it was still too strict, so they invented net carbs, which is possibly my all-time favorite.
Right.
invention in the diet industry is to subtract the fiber so you can eat Brussels sprouts and an apple again. So, but what does fat do? I mean, I know that you love fat from that science-y perspective in the body?
Well, first of all, fat is brain power. The brain runs off of carbohydrates, but fat actually builds the brain. So it provides the building materials that protect, is it the myelin sheaths in the nervous system of the brain? And so it's so incredibly important for cognitive function. My mom, in fact, blames her memory loss on the fact that she did the no-fat diet when she was in her 20s. She swears to this day that that's because she did no fat for that many years. So it helps with cognitive function. It's satisfying.
And then the hormones, it just completely balances hormones, which I know is, hormones are king. That's Alex's trademark, that you can't outsmart your hormones. And so fat, just like carbohydrates, an absolute necessity. That's why they're the macronutrients. Our body was designed to use these 3 macro fuels in balance, in harmony, in a way that we function the most optimally. Now, based on your energy output levels, your lifestyle, all of those things can impact how much we need of each of those things, but ultimately there's never a reason to believe, unless you have a diagnosed disease, that a doctor trumps all of this and tells you, no, you can't eat X, Y, and Z. There's no reason to ever, just for weight loss, weight gain, whatever you're trying to do, to manipulate your macros in a way where you throw them woefully out of balance, because you're playing with fire. I think ultimately, your mom, discovered that. She doesn't know the long-term harm of some crazy diet that she believed a long time ago. And you said this thing to me once, biohacking.
That's what they call it these days.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got all of these, they're not doctors, but they're PhD smart people who, do these quote unquote experiments on themselves trying to biohack certain things. So for instance, the bulletproof diet community, they're biohackers, in Silicon Valley. That's super popular to do the bulletproof diet, because they say it helps with cognitive function, doesn't weigh you down or slow you down. You can just sip on your coffee and go 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that's biohacking. Biohacking isn't real life.
Right.
It's a laboratory experiment type stuff.
And again, ultimately, if we're looking at our overarching thing, and I'll constantly drive this home during Q3, just kind of anchor you back. Balance and moderation is that if someone tells you to eat like me, it's already gone wrong, because you are not them. And however they need to eat, however they feel their best, however they sleep their best, their moods are their best, their energy level is up, their weight is doing whatever it is that their weight needs to do. You can't eat like another human being, because you are uniquely designed.
Yeah.
And we need you to find the way. That's what we're asking, right? Find the way that best serves you, so that you can do your life. And there are going to be plenty of people out there that love to eat fat. There are going to be plenty of people out there that need more carbs. There are going to be plenty of people out there that just love protein. And we're just asking people this entire 3-month period to take the time to figure that out, and don't try to biohack or short circuit the system. Yeah.
And one of the things that has recently kind of come into my awareness about all of this and the diet culture and what this has done, especially to us as Christians and believers, we didn't have to be hungry. God created us to be people who eventually get hungry. And then he also created provision. And he created all of us so uniquely. And so when we look at this, I just can't help but think that God set us up to walk closer with him in relationship through our nutritional journey, looking to him for provision and for guidance on what our body needs. And then also to look at the provision that he's given us and to see his nature revealed through that.
Right.
Food is a blessing. Food is the centerpiece of celebration. God gives blessing. Jesus should be, center point of celebration. So it's just such a unique thing. And then when we start to look to people for answers that God can provide, then we are missing out on an opportunity to walk in relationship with him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny. I had one of those goosebump moments, because when I was stuck on 280 this morning in the rain, I was thinking about I've just been thinking a lot the last couple of weeks about that God is good. God is all good in all circumstances, in all things, and God only provides good. And I was thinking about that in terms of diet culture and the demonization of God's bounty for cultural profitability. And I just love that you kind of expanded on that about how it's just another way that the enemy works. The enemy works through our self-image and our vanity and our pride and our shame to pull us from God's hand, from his path, and from his love and protection. And God is always a God of, in the Bible, it consistently says moderation, like all things in moderation. You know, you can have sugar in moderation. Eat good food, but don't be a glutton. You know, celebrate, but don't get drunk. You know, it's always this, hey, in all things, be moderate. And when you do that, then you are walking closer to God because you're following his plan for your life, which is all good.
Right.
So I just love that. I absolutely love that. And that was actually all about fat, wasn't it? I think I was thinking the other day, because fat is always, it's such a taste sensation, right? The reason why restaurant food is so much more calorically dense,
They add fat.
is because
And salt.
they heighten up the fat because fat is flavor. And I was thinking about how wonderful our God is. You know, God could have made food just so that it nourishes us, but he gave us taste buds.
Exactly.
You know, that he wanted us to experience the joy of food. And I just think about the world we live in now. Food is not only not joyful, it's really a source of stress in our lives. And I just think that he's, you know, must always be like, this was a good thing. This was a good thing. Don't warp it. So, you know, so Q3 is like, don't warp it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, if we keep talking, we're going to have a podcast episode.
Yes.
So we'll cut it there. Guys, as always, please reference the textbook for the rest of this lesson. And remember, you're only moving on if you feel like you were at least 80% successful in Habit 14 at Carbs Big Picture. All right. We'll see you next time.
Now where?